Alright, just getting ready to start gluing these pieces together, and I hope I'm not messing up, but I'm thinking that my cuts are, the cuts between all my bandsaw marks are within a 1/16. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue this up in my camera. You want to put your glue on really liberally. And I use the best glue smear in the world. And the way I'm doing this is it's probably not the most precise way in the world, but I believe with the distances that I have that it'll be sufficient. And what I'm doing is I'm getting it the right side lined up, and my lines where my glue joints are, I'm getting the next section set to line up with that, so I know it's centered that way. And then I'm just trying to tack it up a little bit, and then I just look to this side and try to get it as close as I possibly can to centered. And then just put some pressure on it. Okay. Make sure I didn't move anything. All my lines line up really nice. Now I'm going to take my base plate, which is almost a perfect fit to the bottom here, and I'm just gonna line it up on there. Yep, that ended up really good there. Alright, so I'm going to glue it down. That'll be a really good glue surface if I can get these to work good. Make sure all your dust is gone. Alright, now okay, well, alright. I guess I'll just be waiting until tomorrow morning. Let this glue set up good, and I will be back in the morning to start turning this out and truing it up. Well, talk about a balancing act. Anyway, big old piece of walnut right there. Anyway, this old girl is ready to mount back up. Let's see what we can get out of it. So I'm gonna start getting ready to mount this thing back on the lathe, and I'll be back once we get that done. All right. Well, I had that log sitting on top of this. It weighs probably 20 pounds, I guess. So I've had plenty of pressure on this thing, and it's dried all night. The glue looks really good. It's hard. So anyway, we're gonna mount this thing up. We're gonna see about maybe getting her turned. I don't slam things into my stock. I don't whack it like that. I'll bring it around, and I'll grab my wrench, and I'll just give good torque right there, and that's plenty. I do my chuck the same way. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start basically knocking out the glue marks in here. And just kind of see what shape I'm going to have once my glue comes out. But I've got about 1.25 inches here that I can kind of play with and shape a little bit. It'll end up being mostly conical, I'm sure, but anyway, that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm going to work on the inside first. Got it at its slowest speed. Let's see how she seems to turn okay. We'll see here in a second. Oh, not bad at all. Not bad at all. Just going to make some light pull cuts. Very light pull cuts. Just to start kind of getting the shape down a little bit. I just want to kind of knock out the glue lines. Now let's look at what we got so far. Okay, yeah, glue lines are good. I'm taking them out. Got a little bit here and just a little bit right around here. But all I'm doing, I'm just making some pull and push cuts up through here just to try to take out the glue lines. And that's the minimum I want to do. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to do the back side the same way, and then I'll worry about how I want to shape it. Okay. Alright, well now I'm just going to start working on the outside a little bit. I've got the inside conical shape. I'm going to work on this. Don't be too aggressive with it. Let her eat. I do have room to play with. Something else. Okay, I'll be back short. Okay, well, I've been working on the outside, and actually I've taken out a lot of the conical shape up here. Down at the bottom, I'm going to have to leave this alone for now until I get it reverse mounted, just simply because I don't trust it. If I cut very far in here, I get into my glue. So anyway, I think I'm gonna keep it like this. I've been doing a little bit of shear scraping. I've still got a ridge right here on this glue joint I've got to take off. But other than that, I'm about done with the outside, and then I'm gonna come in and make the inside match it. Just gonna come in and make the inside match this profile. I think that's nice. I may not be putting a segmented piece on the top. Probably will, but I don't know. I'm starting to kind of like this, the way it is. Okay, well, I'm just going to keep on. I've got to finish shear scraping out here on the back side and right around that ridge. And we'll see if I can't take that out. Just keep on shear scraping. Well, I've got the outside roughly shaped. Actually, it's already pretty much done. I haven't sanded it or anything, but the outside's pretty much where I want it. All but the foot. I've still got a little bit to go on it, but I'm going to start working down the inside and trying to match this profile here to the inside. Alright, let's see what we got here. to zip up my smock. Like to have one of the wood-turning smocks. I'm gonna keep on, and I'll be checking my thickness with my calipers. The way these things read is whatever it shows back here on the back side, right here, is how thick the bowl is down on that end. So you can move it back and forth, and you can see I start getting thick right here at the top. I don't want to go much thinner than what I am. I'm about a 1/2 inch thick. I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm not going to try to go real thin with it, but out here close to the edge, I'm maybe about 5/8. So I'm going to keep on going until I get down in here and trying to get this shape to match this profile, and I'll be back in a little while. Alright, basically what I'm doing is I'll work down a little bit, and then I'll scrape it nice and easy to get a good smooth surface, and that's what I'm doing right now. I've got a couple little ridges right in this area right here, right around that glue joint again. So I'll work on that, and I'm just using a round nose scraper. Smoothing up the wall. Okay, well, all my final shaping's done, and got it pretty smooth in here. But now I'm going to start my sanding, and I've also got all these cracks that I've got to fix. And the way I'm going to do that is I've taken these shavings here, and I'll tell you how I get these, but let me show you what happens. You take these shavings like this, and you crush them up in your hand, and you can almost grind them into just the finest dust that you've ever seen. I mean, it's almost like flour, but you just crush them up, you know, kind of grind them together, and you end up with just a really fine, really fine sawdust. And that's what I'm going to use to fill up these cracks. It's a little bit more coarse than sanding dust, so it fills up larger cracks a little bit better. So but you can see right here how that does. And the way I do that is whenever I bore into a spindle, like when I was doing my vase or something like that, and you're boring into end grain with a Forstner bit, it throws out these big coarse, looks like pencil lead shavings, and of course they're curly and everything else. But you take those and just pack them back and put them in a jar or something that's labeled, and it makes some of the best wood filler that you've ever seen. And you just want to take and work that stuff in there really good. I mean, just push it in there really good and hard, because this stuff is actually going to stabilize this crack also. You have to make sure that all your final shaping is done before you do this, because if it's not, then you could go past this stuff with your shaping. But it just packs in there really nicely, and then I'll take super glue, water thin super glue, and I'll just dab it in there. I'll dump it at the high spot, and it'll run down. It'll run down that crack and fill it up. Okay, and I'll sit here and I'll do each and every one of them that way. Don't worry about this glue that goes out the sides, because I'll show you once you sand it. You still may see the glue a little bit, but once you sand it and you put your finish on, that glue will just disappear. It'll be gone. So anyway, I'm going to be working on that, and I may have to take it off the lathe to get these back here. I've got some bad cracks back here. Alright, well, now my cracks are filled. The ones that I can see, anyway. They're all filled, and now I'm going to use another little trick that I learned just to fill in any little surface imperfections or anything like that. I don't see any tear out, but anyway, if there's like tear out or something, a little bit, and I'm talking about just a little bit, this will cover it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to put tung oil over the whole thing, fairly liberally. I'm just using Minwax tung oil, and I'm just going to put this all over the whole thing. And what I'm going to do with it is I'm going to sand, and when I sand it, this tung oil will move all the sawdust and stuff into the little cracks and voids and things like that. Plus, boy, it really brings out the color, doesn't it? But you won't see that long anyway. But I'm gonna coat this whole thing before I sand it. I'm gonna let it set up a little bit, kind of start drying, and then I'm gonna start sanding. Okay, well, now I'm just gonna start my sanding. I'm just gonna hand sand it with the lathe running mostly, and what I'm doing is I've got this tung oil on there, and it's curing up pretty good. It hasn't been but about 15 minutes since I got it on there, but I wiped it down with a paper towel, and it really hasn't cured yet, but what's happened is soaked in. So anyway, I'm gonna sand this thing and see if this works. You'll see it start clogging up your sandpaper like that. Well, that stuff is also filling up your little pores, the pores in your wood. Well, okay. I've got her sanded. I apologize for the skip in the video. I didn't realize I'd run out of batteries, and my video died. So I got all my sanding done. I've been up through 400 grit, and here they all are. But no, I sanded with the lathe running, and I sanded with the lathe running, and then I would come back and sand with the grain, with each grit. Okay, so but I'm getting ready now. That tung oil's nice and finished, and that is just smooth as silk right there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start my finish, and I'm going to use a friction polish here, and we're going to see how that works, because I'm trying a little bit different one. And I'm just going to see if I get a different look out of it. Make sure it's all shook up real good. This stuff separates pretty quick. Alright. So, here we go. Got the lathe turning pretty fast. I gotta follow Carl Jacobson's example and build me some kind of camera mount in here. few more coats of that, that's going to be pretty. Alright, well I'm going to keep on going. Okay, one thing I found with this finish, it's just like Eric did with his, Eric Anderson. You need to actually rub it around on here a couple times too, to make sure that you get it in all the different places, that it gets in all the grain. And everything else, and just, you know, work it in back and forth, and, you know, all over it. Alright, and then get your friction going. Oh, that's a nice finish. I'm liking that. But we'll see. I'm going to keep going on the inside, maybe 2 more coats, and I'm going to move to the outside and do it the same way. Okay, I'm getting down to my last few coats now. I probably hadn't been working on it 5-10 minutes, I guess, altogether. And what I'm doing, I'm saturating the paper towel. I'm just applying this stuff on here with a paper towel. And you have to work kind of quick because this stuff starts curing very, very fast. And I'm around 1,500 RPM. And you just want to bang it right in. Well, you're probably not going to think I'm too smart, but I've got this thing reversed around on a vacuum chuck. Oh boy, here we go. So anyway, there's my shop vac, and actually I tested it a minute ago. It's pretty strong, but I'm gonna wear a face shield anyway. This whole venture has been an experiment, so why not experiment? So I'm getting ready to take this tenon off. I'm going to leave the tailstock up while I cut most of it, but hopefully I'm going to do something with a foot, you know, something kind of nice, something I've never been able to do before without a vacuum chuck. But I'm going to leave this on until after I get that. I'm going to leave the tailstock up until after I get that tenon cut off. Well, all right then. I'm just going to start taking off this tenon on the back, and I'm going to go ahead and start up the vacuum. See if I can get a stamp for it. Okay, all right. Yes, sir. Oh no, look what I did. I went right through. Gonna have to fix that. New piece of mahogany. That's what I wanted on there anyway. I didn't like that old oak. That's why I let it. That's why I let it go. Just had to take it off and put me a nice piece of mahogany on there. All right, I'll be back a few hours. Okay, back to square one. I got my mahogany base plate on there now. I'm just going to see if I can get this centered up. I'll do that just like this. I'll bring my tailstock up. See how she turns, just looking at this area here. It looks pretty damn blame good. I think I can go with that. Bring the tailstock up and let's just see. A little bit of pressure from the tailstock. The bowl looks good. Okay. I think I'm in good shape. I gotta find a way to get in here now. Kind of shape on this a little bit. Put this back on. Just in case I have another accident. Anyway, I'm just going to shape on this foot, and I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, well, it's been a good bit of work trying to get this thing straightened back out, but I've got my mahogany foot shaped up just the way I want it. Got a little bit of tear out there I'm still going to have to work on, but the foot's shaped and sanded to 320. I'm going to go 400 on it. I'm going to have to get in here and re-scrape that though, so I have to re-sand that area. But and then I'm going to go back and redo my finish on this side here, on the outside, and then should be about ready to go. The vacuum truck's working great. It's holding it in place. I've got this up so I can turn it off for now, but I did all my cutting on the bottom, some fairly decent cutting, and it's been working great. But I'm going to get back on this, and I got to take this out and re-sand this area again. But other than that, I'm going to put new finish on it, and I'll be back in just a few minutes when I start that. I get this finished. Okay. There it is. An economy bowl. First one I've ever tried to do. The reason they call it economy bowl is because normally I would have had, I believe this thing's about 12 inches wide, It's just under 12 inches, about 11 3/4. But normally I would have had at least a 12-inch blank, 6 inches tall, or about 5 inches tall, or 4. Yeah, about 4 inches tall. That would have been a big old heavy piece of wood spinning around in there. But I got all of this out of the face of that same size block. So economy bowls are fun. They're challenging. They are challenging. You know, getting all your glue joints good, you know, all that stuff. But this project right here was a blast. I loved this project. It was fun. I learned a lot. I learned not to cut this too thin. You see how thick that one is. That's right. But it looks nice in here. Nice mahogany piece in the bottom. I think it actually looks better than the oak did. But good project. Decided not to segment the top, and I think I did right there. I really like this spalting. But go out and try one. This is a lot of fun, and I got to see just how strong my vacuum chuck is. And I've done I did some pretty serious cutting with it, sanding, of course, and finish work type stuff. But I did this whole bottom. I did all the cuts and the squaring up and all this. I did all of that on the vacuum chuck by itself, without a tailstock or any other type of support. And buddy, it held tight. I couldn't grab it and just pull it off. It was tight. But I enjoyed this project. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I learned a lot. Anytime I can learn something, I'm in good shape. I'm going in the house and get this thing uploaded, and maybe you'll get to see it. Have a good evening.